Well, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to the 2024 Mayor's State of the City. My name is Christina Turner, and I'm honored, thank you so much. I'm honored to be the city manager of this wonderful, wonderful community made even better by each and every one of you. So, we're first going to just make a quick announcement. We have students here, which I'm so excited about. So they're fulfilling their civics hours, and so, yeah, let's give them a hand. Some might say that this is more exciting than a traditional city council meeting, and you get to hear about accomplishments and what we have coming forward this year. If you need to leave, I think you're required for your class to stay about an hour, but if you need to leave right at the hour mark and we're still going, our city clerk, Michelle Bigelow, will come right over here. You can walk down the stairs, and then she will sign you off in the lobby. If you haven't already done so and you continue to do so after the address, we do have refreshments in the lobby. And now I'm going to ask our chaplain and Pastor Mike Birchfield to come forward to do our invocation.
Thank you, Christina. And it's an honor to be able to be here for this event and to lift up a prayer to Almighty God that He might bless our evening. So I would ask all of you to join with me, and let's lift up our hearts to the Lord. Our Father in heaven, we come before you tonight, and we come thankfully because you have blessed us with such a beautiful day today, and you've blessed us with a peaceful and beautiful city as well. You've granted us to live here, to be citizens here, to have friends and neighbors here. We thank you for that. I want to pray that in our world that is so often torn by strife and war and hatred, that you would grant each one of us to live differently. I pray that you would grant us to be instruments of your peace, bringing love and pardon and faith and hope and light and joy where there is hate, where there's injury, where there's doubt, despair, where there's darkness, and where there's sadness. And then I want to pray for our civic leaders, the leaders of our city. I pray for Councilwomen Marilyn Liebers and Yvonne Martinez Beltran, and also our councilman, Gino Bargioli, Renee Spring, and then Mayor Mark Turner. I pray as well for City Manager Christina Turner, for City Attorney Donald Larkin, for Police Chief Shane Paulsgrove, and for all of the officers that make Morgan Hill a peaceful place, a safe place. I pray that you would be blessing them, keeping them, guiding them, granting them your wisdom, that they might govern and lead well and wisely. And then finally, we want to ask your blessing upon Mayor Turner's State of the City address. And we pray that as he comes, that he would be able to share with all of us what's on his heart and address matters that are on his mind, that he would do that in a way that inspires all of us to continue to be good citizens here in Morgan Hill, to be thankful for the city we live in, that our city will continue to be the great city that it is. We ask this, Father, in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. He leads up our chaplain program, and we have a very great chaplain program that really helps especially our police officers and those community members in their time of need. So with that, I want to recognize some of our dignitaries that are in this room. And so first I'm going to start out with our Morgan Hill City Council. We are so incredibly blessed to have an amazing council. And as teammates, we're very thankful to work with such a great group. And so, of course, we'll hear from our mayor, Mark Turner. And then I'd like to recognize Mayor Pro Tem Marilyn Liebers. Just wave your hand, stand up. Councilmember Gino Borgioli. Councilwoman Yvonne Martinez Beltran, and Councilmember Renee Spring. And from our partner agency, the Morgan Hill Unified School District, we are thankful this evening to have 2 Board of Trustees here. So we have Trustee John Horner and Pamela Gardner. And Gilroy City Council, we have Tom Klein. And we have my counterpart in Gilroy City Administrator Jimmy Forbes. We are very thankful to partner with the City of Gilroy in many things. Next, I'd like to recognize our librarian, our community librarian, who's not just a librarian, but a critical community partner, Heather Geddes. And we have Michelle Perry, our Santa Clara County Association of Realtors President. From the lovely city of Sunnyvale, we have Councilmember Russ Melton. And from Valley Water Board of Directors, District 1, representing all of us, John Varela. And we also have representatives from California Assembly Office, Gail Pellerin, and California Senate Office, John Laird. From the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce, Jane Howard. And longtime rep from the Historical Society, Kathy Sullivan. And I know we have many commissioners and committee members here, and we thank you for being here. With all of this said, we appreciate each and every one of you for all that you do in our community. And so now I just want to say a few words about our mayor. So our mayor, Mark Turner, came into office December of 2022, and here we are in 2024, so this is his second State of the City. And I'm glad to see that in the second year we have this room filled and then some. On behalf of the teammates, the staff at the City of Morgan Hill, we are very, very fortunate to work very closely with Mayor Mark Turner. He is a joyful and uplifting face at City Hall, and we appreciate him and all that he's doing. I want to recognize his wife, Sue Turner. And he has 3 lovely daughters, and one is able to be here this evening. I want to recognize her. Thank you for allowing him to be with us and support us and help lead our city. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mayor Mark Turner.
Thank you. Before we get started, I know that Sergio's up there saying, hey, turn the mic on for the... Okay, Sergio, we good? All right. Now the folks on Facebook can actually hear us as well, so thank you. Thank you, Christina, for that introduction. I really do appreciate that, and I'm honored to be back here for my second State of the City address. I want to thank Pastor Mike Birchfield for his invocation, and also to recognize, as Christina had mentioned, that Mike is one of the police chaplains. Ben Palmer with Morgan Hill Bible, who's here, is also one of our police chaplains, and he's here this evening along, I know, Dave Willis from Crossroads Christian Church as one of our chaplains as well. So we thank you for serving our community by serving our police department. I wanted to again thank Christina. Thank you for the introduction. It is a real thrill and honor to be able to work so closely with Christina. She is probably one of the best leaders our community has had for some time, and I just want to recognize her for the work that she does and the leadership she provides for our staff and for our community. Christina, thank you so much. I'd like to recognize my colleagues who are here this evening: Mayor Pro Tem Marilyn Liebers, Councilmember Renee Spring, Councilmember Gino Borgioli, and Councilmember Yvonne Martinez Beltran. It's a pleasure and an honor to work closely with them. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize the spouses and family members of our elected officials. They aren't the ones who hold office. they are the ones who support those of us who are. They get to hear the positive as well as the negative. Comments that get made, comments like ruining our city, must be on the take, another bad decision. When will you ever get it right? And quite frankly, those are just a few of the comments I heard my wife say to me this morning. On February 2nd and February 3rd, the council members gathered with city staff to have our annual goal-setting workshop, and we talked about a lot of different things, but some of the things we narrowed this down to that we felt were very important, that we added significance to, was with our economic development area. We believe strongly that tourism should be elevated to a higher priority, and you'll now see on our Sustainable Morgan Hill document that economic development and tourism are listed as a significant priority. The council also talked about adding a new strategic priority that we are now calling Healthy Community. And under Healthy Community, I'll be introducing tonight an initiative called Healthy Morgan Hill, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. But under that also, we want to address under Healthy Community the fentanyl crisis that we see growing in our communities all around us, as well as mental health issues. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some good things that are going on in this great community of ours. I'll share with you some of the challenges we face, along with some opportunities that lie before us as well. I'd first like to make note of a few people before moving on. The great leadership team that we have, being led by Christina Turner. Also, our Assistant City Manager, Edith Ramirez. I just want to mention to that real quick. Yes, it's a round of applause. Edith is the recipient of the 2024 Latinx Business Leadership Award. This award profiles outstanding Latinx business leaders for their professional achievements in mentorship and community contributions. And so we really are honored to be able to have someone like that working in our city. She sets a great tone, and really she signifies the commitment and dedication that all of our staff is working toward. I'd like to recognize our city staff and all that they do, and I've had this chance now for over a year to be working with our city staff and the great work that they do, and I can tell you they are dedicated and committed to the success of our community, doing everything they can to go above and beyond to make Morgan Hill the great community that it is. And so I just wanted to say thank you to our city staff. Two of those members of our city staff are actually here tonight. I asked them to be here because I think they also exemplify the commitment and dedication that our men and women display as they work for the city of Morgan Hill. They have worked for the city of Morgan Hill for 35 years. And I'd like to recognize Johnny Gonzalez and John Henry. Would you please stand if you're here tonight? Morgan Hill is the place we call home. Most of what's great in this community comes from the goodness of those who live and work here. It's our people who really do make the difference. To those who operate and volunteer in our local nonprofits, our coach youth sports, or lead our faith institutions, assist with those in need, defend the defenseless, not to mention those who volunteer in various capacities in different organizations, whether in church, in your temple or synagogue, at the chamber, service club, school committees, picking up trash on the weekends, preparing food boxes, preparing and handing out school backpacks for the Edward Boss Prado Foundation, or working with kids at the Boys and Girls Club, rescuing animals, raising funds for the YMCA, standing in front of the grocery store with the Girl Scout pack selling cookies. I say to each and every one of you, thank you for making a difference. According to the Tax Exempt World, an online organization that tracks nonprofit organizations, there are more than 400 nonprofit and 501c organizations in Morgan Hill representing various interests along with church and school organizations. One such organization, one nonprofit, is the Morgan Hill Historical Society, completely run by volunteers. The Morgan Hill Historical Society is one of the longest running nonprofits in the city of Morgan Hill. Established in 1971, the Historical Society has been leading the agency in protecting and preserving our city's assets for some time. For more than 50 years, dedicated volunteers have given their time and effort to ensure future generations of Morgan Hill residents have a connection to their past. The Morgan Hill Historical Society's efforts have included the rescue and renovation of the Hiram Morgan Hill House, also known as Villa Miramonte, built by our city's namesake in the late 1800s. The operations and oversight of Villa Miramonte for use of special occasions and community members and organizations. The rescue and renovation of the Morgan Hill History Museum, built in 1911 by former mayor of our city and his family. The creation of the Centennial History Trail to commemorate our city's 100th anniversary in 2006, and documenting through films for more than a decade the stories of people and events that have shaped our city. This building right here is a historical building. Much of our local history and heritage, including Villa Miramonte, might have disappeared if it had not been for the Morgan Hill Historical Society's volunteers. So thank you to all the volunteers. Volunteers are crucial to our success of any organization, and very much so for the city of Morgan Hill. We have wonderful, committed volunteers who help in many ways and in different capacities. And to all our volunteers, I'd like to say thank you for your dedication. If you serve on the Planning Commission, or the Library, Culture, and Arts Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Youth Action Council, or the Senior Advisory Committee, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for that. I'd like to take a moment for special recognition of one of our commissioners who currently serves on the Planning Commission, Joe Mueller. Joe has been volunteering for the City of Morgan Hill in various commissions and capacities for 40 years. Joe, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Joe. I'd also like to recognize a friend of mine who I've gotten to know when I became mayor. He reached out to me very quickly. He serves our community in various capacities, but he also serves our country. And I'd like to recognize U.S. Marine Gunny Sergeant John Reese. John, thank you for your service to our country and all that you do. We appreciate that. As I think of all that gets accomplished by so many volunteers in our community, I can't help but to think of the quote by Janice Stanfield when she said, "I cannot do all the good the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do." I'd like to recognize some of our strategic partners. The Chamber of Commerce, which is run by Nick Gaish. He's not here this evening. He has an excused absence tonight. But we continue to look to the Morgan Hill Chamber of Commerce to advocate for the business community and have expectations that they will represent the best interests of small, medium, and large businesses in Morgan Hill. The work the Morgan Hill Chamber does has the potential to affect every business in our community, which represents more than 15,000 employees. To this end, I'd like to recognize Nick Gaish as the Chamber President and CEO for being appointed to the California Chamber of Commerce's Small Business Policy Council. Nick will join, Nick will join 29 other CEOs and small business owners from around the state to help shape Cal Chamber's advocacy efforts for small businesses. As a former CEO of a Chamber of Commerce myself, I can tell you this is a critical role, and the fact that Nick is part of that and knowing that he will do an excellent job, it's great to have him at the table. In fact, the reason he's not here tonight is he's in Sacramento participating in this roundtable discussion. I'd also like to recognize the Morgan Hill Downtown Business Association, led by David Dindak, who is also not here tonight. He too is in Sacramento with Leadership Morgan Hill. David the Downtown Association, I should say, currently hosts several events such as the Wine Stroll, the Brew Crawl, and the Safe Trick or Treat event, drawing visitors and community members to our downtown. They have proven themselves to be quite capable of hosting successful events, and it's important to note that we are looking to the Morgan Hill Downtown Business Association to advocate for and represent the best interests of our downtown merchants. The Downtown Business Association does and should have its finger on the pulse of the concerns, issues, and successes of our downtown merchants. Downtown is the social center of our community. With fine dining, retail, the farmers market, sidewalk Saturdays, and other activities, our downtown has become one of the finest destination locations around. In April of last year, the City Council approved a $200 $50,000 that we redirected that was set aside for a downtown park. That the council decided to redirect that money and do some 3 downtown street activations with the goal of making downtown Morgan Hill more accessible and inclusive to offer free family events and support existing downtown businesses. These activations were called Fourth Saturday Downtown Street Series. You may have come to some of these. In August, we did what was called the Doggy Days of Summer. In September, we did the Makers Market and Car Show. And in October, we did the Kids Fest and Safe Trick or Treat. In the evening, what we ended up doing was on 3rd Street, we showed a movie that was thematic. It lined up, like with the Doggy Days of Summer, we showed the movie Pets. In September, the Car Show, we showed the movie Cars. And in the Safe Trick or Treat, I think we showed the Addams Family. It was a fun, great experience. We had each of those activations brought about 2,000 members of our community to downtown. In December, we kicked off the holiday season with the Kiwanis Holiday Parade, a visit from Santa, and the lighting of the Christmas tree at the corner of Monterey and Dunn. And I have great visions of what we can do this coming year in December with decorating windows in downtown. I mean, we can do so much more. And I just can't wait for Christmas to come around again. Toward the end of last year, downtown private property owners and the city of Morgan Hill entered into a public-private partnership to form the Downtown Property Business Improvement District, or PBID, with the goal of increasing safety, cleanliness, and beautification in our downtown. The PBID can also enhance economic growth within the downtown as well. The collaboration will result in a first-year budget of more than $249,000, of which 60% has been earmarked to provide enhanced, clean, and safe efforts in the district. The PBID boundary is comprised of 98 properties owned by 59 individuals, spanning parcels north of Dunn, east of Del Monte, south of Maine, and west of Butterfield. I'd also like to recognize Visit Morgan Hill. Krista Rupp is the executive director. I don't know if Krista's here. Is she around? Okay, Krista, I'm 0 for 3 tonight. Visit Morgan Hill continues to be the marketing arm for the city. We have an abundance of assets to promote. Morgan Hill is the gateway to the Santa Clara Valley Wine Trail and its award-winning wines that are produced along that trail. We have excellent restaurants, an aquatic center for swim meets, sports fields for youth sports and tournaments, agritourism opportunities, history walks, wedding venues, walking and cycling, and so much more. Tourism is a critical piece of our economic development strategy, so much so that, as I said earlier, the council decided to elevate that to a much higher priority. On February 2nd, the council voted to highlight tourism as a priority in conjunction with economic development. We are looking to you, Visit Morgan Hill, as a vital partner in the economic development of our community through an aggressive effort of attracting visitors of all ages by whatever means possible to visit our community, to play and stay here, to dine here, to shop here, to enjoy recreational activities, and to bring sports tournaments and swim meets to our community. Tonight, I'd like to recognize our Morgan Hill Police Department. Is Chief Palsgrove here? Oh, all right. Thank you, Chief. I was going to say, if the chief wasn't here, man, I was going to head out. The chief provided me some statistics that I'd like to share with you tonight about our police department. In 2023, we recruited and hired and trained 9 new teammates, 4 police officers, 2 dispatchers, 2 multi-service officers, and 1 community service officer. The Morgan Hill Police Department is the first department in Santa Clara County to train officers in active bystandership for law enforcement, or ABLE, a program in partnership with Georgetown University to prepare officers to successfully intervene and prevent harm, and to create a law enforcement culture that supports peer intervention. Our police officers utilized flock cameras as a crime reduction strategy from August 2021 to December 2023, which resulted in a decrease in property crimes and 246 arrests and 823 criminal offense charges. The Morgan Hill Police Department's Special Operations Team conducted a surveillance operation over several months, resulting in the arrest of multiple suspects, closing out 2 unsolved homicides. The Morgan Hill Police Department had a clearance rate of 74% for crimes against persons in 2023, while the statewide average is only 41%. A clearance rate is, what that means is clearance can be defined as a case that has been resolved. The The Morgan Hill Police Department had a clearance rate of 24% for crimes against property in 2023, while the statewide average is only 7%. The police department submitted over 1,500 cases to the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office for prosecution. This is a 47% increase from 2022 and a 68% increase since 2021. No one likes the fact that criminal activity is on the rise. It can't be denied. We didn't do ourselves any favor when we passed Prop 47 and Prop 57. And we are now seeing the consequences of those propositions. At our goal-setting workshop in February, the chief mentioned we have individuals in our community have been arrested multiple times. In fact, 15 people more than 10 times each, and 3 people more than 15 times each. Keep in mind, these are not for petty theft or stealing a candy bar from 7-Eleven. We must ask ourselves, why do we think allowing criminals to do the same thing over and over again with no consequences will ultimately lead to upright and moral behavior on their part? How many crimes does one individual commit before they are brought to justice? We need to get beyond the idea that those who commit criminal acts are not responsible for their own actions. We must hold individuals accountable for their behavior. It's the responsibility of every citizen to live law-abiding lives and contribute to the betterment of our community. Cruel and unusual punishment is not when a criminal suffers discomfort in the hands of justice. Cruel and unusual punishment occurs when society fails to carry out justice and allows victims to suffer the consequences of unrepentant, irresponsible, and careless acts of violence. It's time to overturn these misleading public safety propositions and truly make our community safe. Despite all this, the Morgan Hill Police Department continues to function at the highest level of professionalism, working to keep our communities and our community and our residents safe. And while I may be biased, Chief, I believe the Morgan Hill Police Department is one of the finest law enforcement agencies around. Chief Palsgrove, on behalf of the City Council and all our citizens, I'd like to express our gratitude for your excellent leadership, the leadership of your command staff, and for the commitment and dedication of every officer in the department, including the support staff and a 34,000 square foot showroom and warehouse. Other businesses that opened and began operations last year are Stretch Lab, Mohai Farm, Goku Sushi, Barrel and Bean, Crumble, and Carniceria Elite. This Friday, we'll be participating in a ribbon cutting for the opening of Valley Health Center, Morgan Hill. Valley Health, yeah, all right. Valley Health Center, Morgan Hill is a culmination of collective efforts from the County of Santa Clara, Santa Clara Valley Healthcare, community partners, and stakeholders past and present. VHC Morgan Hill will include cardiology and family practice. And on behalf of the City Council, the staff, and the community, I'd like to thank the County of Santa Clara and Supervisor Sylvia Arenas for this investment that is sure to make a critical difference in our community. Yes. You may have noticed the construction project at the corner of Monterey and Cosmo. This project is the Voices Language Academy. This bilingual immersion school frequently ranks as the top performing California schools for mathematics. The campus is made of modular units that are being constructed off-site and then will be assembled on-site in late summer or early fall. Once completed, the 350 students who are currently attending locations all over the city will finally have a place that they can call home. Several of our businesses in town expanded their operations last year or announced plans to expand, and we're grateful for their continued investment in Morgan Hill. Pinnacle, not the bank, but the company that does exhibits, is expanding their operations and nearly doubling their space here in Morgan Hill. They have leased the 85,000 square foot Building 1 at the Butterfield 5 Technology Park. Pinnacle currently employs 60 full-time employees. And Ritsu made the decision to relocate and consolidate several functions from their Texas Anritsu facility to Morgan Hill. And this added 24 new full-time jobs, bringing Anritsu's employment to 388 employees. Golden State Assembly has added 40,000 square feet of new manufacturing space. Toray Advanced Composites has added 73,000 square feet of new manufacturing space. Paramit is expanding their interior operations, adding 26,000 square feet. And Duke Empirical Medical Manufacturer, also 60,000 square feet. While it's important to inform you of the expansion efforts of our companies and the new businesses and retail operations that want to be part of our community, we must also address the housing expansion that everyone sees around town. Now, we have recently, as many of you have probably heard the phrase, the regional housing needs allocation, and you've heard the phrase of the what is the phrase I'm looking for? Well, RENA, of course, but so we have to do a housing element every 8 years, and we've just gone through that process. And the regional housing needs allocation, in short, the state assigns each of the cities a number of housing units that they must build in an 8-year cycle. The current RENA cycle is 2023 through 2031. Our next cycle, we need to build 1,037 housing units, and nearly half of those fall into the affordable housing category. Categories include extremely low and very low, 262 units, low, 151, moderate at 174, and above moderate, 450 housing units. The housing element is required by the California Department of Housing and Community Development and must be submitted for review and certification along with, it goes in coordination with the RENA, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation timeframe. And when we're doing this, housing element, thank you. When we're doing our housing element, when that has been submitted, and we submitted ours back in January of 2023, it was finally certified in November, but during that time frame from which you actually submit it until the point at which it's certified, the opportunity for builder's remedy applications exist. So a builder can come in, during that time and say, hey, we're submitting an application, we're going to build 260 townhouses on that lot right there. And we really can't stop them. We actually, by law, have to process that application. We can't say no. And so what happens then is and for us in Morgan Hill, we have had 4 builder's remedies applications. And there will be some in the community who will tell you that this doesn't really exist, but the fact is it does, and we have to deal with it. Now, we can say at some point, sorry, we're not going to pursue this. They can take us to court, we can take them to court, but the fact is, if we go to court and we lose, then we will potentially have to pay a fine of $10,000 per housing unit. 260 townhouses, should we lose, is a cost of $2.6 million to our community. So it is something we have to contend with. We've got to deal with it. We've got to talk about it. And we are required by law to process those applications. Don't let anyone tell you that Gilroy or San Jose is standing up to these builders. They cannot. They must process those applications and then can figure out how they want to handle it from there. And we are doing the same thing. To address the housing shortage, a number of legislative laws have changed our landscape. Over the last 3 years, 130 bills have become laws, all 130 related to housing. 56 of those bills were made law this past October. Some of those laws, for instance, for 100% affordable housing, AB 2334 is a 100% density bonus. So in other words, if on an acre of land we said we will allow 24 housing units to be built, AB 2334 says they can actually double that to 48. In 2019, AB 1763 amended the state density bonus law to allow 100% affordable housing developments unlimited density within 1/2 mile of a major transit stop or high quality bus corridor. And for your information, the state has now deemed Monterey Highway, Monterey Road, Monterey Street, a high density transit corridor. So you see what we're facing based on these state laws. Several bills that remove all parking requirements. So in other words, if a 100% affordable housing project comes into the city and they say, we want to build a housing, say 200 units, and they build it within 1/2 mile of our train station, they do not have to provide any parking. Now, if they build it along Monterey Road, which is now considered a high quality transit corridor, they don't have to provide parking. So you can see the dilemma we face and the frustration as council members that we have to deal with when these types of things happen. New laws also override our height limitations. And so a housing project can come in and say, we're going to build, a 100% affordable can say, we're going to build 5 and 6 stories tall. And we can't stop them. So those are the things that we're dealing with. We also expect an onslaught of more bills this year as well. Some of you have probably already seen this, but we are indeed seeing an uptick in the number of homeless individuals in our community, walking neighborhoods, sleeping in front of businesses, building encampments along the creek, and in some cases involved in criminal activity. The City of Morgan Hill is committed to keeping our community clean and safe, while at the same time providing services and resources to our unhoused residents. Through many partnerships with the county, our faith community, nonprofits, as well as public and private landowners, we have created one of the most successful housing and homeless programs in our region. We conduct daily street outreach to assess every unhoused individual's needs and barriers to ensure that they are connected to the county's housing placement system. We require affordable units from every new housing project. In collaboration with the Compassion Center and Morgan Hill Bible Church, we offer a safe parking program. Depending on the residents, this could be anywhere from 8 to 30 people at a given time. Participants receive meals and support to provide some stability while they're waiting for permanent housing. Thanks to Community Christian Church and their steadfast volunteers during severe weather periods, we offer a cold weather shelter program to ensure people are safe from the elements. Working closely with the Edward Boss Prado Foundation and the Morgan Hill Unified School District, we work with families to help them meet basic needs and prevent homelessness through the rental assistance provided by the county, Destination Home, St. Vincent de Paul, and many local parishioners and congregation members. Perhaps one of the most impactful things the city has done was to secure a 3-year, $450,000 grant to employ a full-time, unhoused specialist. This position conducts daily outreach in real time and provides direct service by meeting people where they are with a social work background and a mental health lens. Over the past 26 months, we have connected with 408 housing insecure people and housed 98 families successfully, with others being referred to shelter, medical, and mental health services. Is my time up? Although progress has been made, we will not take it for granted, and we will continue to monitor this issue, reduce encampments as best we can, working in partnership with Valley Water, and we will lead with compassion, grace, and solutions that will reduce homelessness in our community. Now, with that said, and while it's not a crime to be homeless, when the homeless commit crimes, it does need to be dealt with. But keep in mind, whether someone lives in a house or lives in a tent, whether someone lives in this community or visits this community, we cannot and will not let criminal activity go unchecked. I'd also like to, and I couldn't be more thrilled tonight to welcome back to our community Roy Choi and the 2024 Indoor Football League National Champions, the Bay Area Panthers. As many of you know, after last season, there were other cities, Oakland, Stockton, and Sacramento, who were attempting to lure the Panthers away from us to their cities. We quickly huddled with Roy and assured him that we would do everything we could to keep him here in Morgan Hill. And I'd like to thank San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, San Jose Sharks CEO Jonathan Becker, and San Jose Sports Authority President John Poach, who I had the great honor of working with in securing the team's decision to remain in Morgan Hill and San Jose. Thank you, Roy, for your commitment to our community and being such a great partner. Coach Rob and Coach Dixie, you have developed more than just champion football players. You have developed young men of character who understand their role and influence in a larger community. I was at Adam Warwick's Christmas event back in December, and he introduced me to a young man, a 10-year-old boy, who walked up to me and said, "I heard you're the mayor." And he stuck out his hand and shook my hand, and I said, "Well, yes, I am." Like, I don't mind telling you, I was a little intimidated at this point. He said, "My name's Jackson, and I heard you're the mayor." So Jackson and I talked for a few minutes, and then he pointed down to his shoes, and there was some writing on one of his shoes. And he had told me that he had indicated that the Panthers players had visited his school, and a number of them were there, and they were all excited. And he just was beaming as he was telling me this, and that one of the players actually signed his tennis shoe. I asked Jackson if he had ever been to a Panthers game, and he said no. And later I learned that just a few months before I was talking to him, Jackson's mom had sadly passed away. I had the chance to share this story with Yosef Shim, the president of the Panthers, and a few of his staff. And I'm proud to say that Jackson, his brother Oliver, and his dad Rick, who are here tonight, will be attending the Panthers home opener against the Arizona Rattlers in just about 2 weeks on March 31st. The Panthers organization and its players have proven themselves beyond just scoring touchdowns and winning football games. They have also impacted our community in positive ways by volunteering at local events, attending functions, and visiting schools, connecting with kids, and inspiring them. These players have become heroes and role models to many of our children, and we're honored that the Bay Area Panthers call Morgan Hill their home. I'd also like to talk about the fact that City Manager Christina Turner and I meet on a regular basis with the Morgan Hill Unified School District Superintendent Carmen Garcia and the Board Chair Ivan Rosales Montes. During one of these meetings in 2023, we kicked around the idea of partnering with San Jose State. Yes, yeah. Well, I'd just like to acknowledge Dr. Cynthia Teniente Matson, who serves as the 31st president of San Jose State University. And I'd simply like to say we look forward to working with her and expanding the university's engagement in Morgan Hill. More to come on that later. Tonight, I'd like to introduce a couple of initiatives, one being one that I call Read 20. It's a literacy initiative, and this is designed to help expose pre-K children to a greater vocabulary, develop linguistic skills, and improve third-grade reading proficiency. I've been working with former Mayor Steve Tate, Morgan Hill Unified School Superintendent Carmen Garcia, Morgan Hill Librarian Heather Geddes, Mount Madonna YMCA Executive Director Andrea Nicolette, and as well as Alban Diaz and also Jessica Castellanos from the Boys and Girls Club to coordinate this effort. Research indicates that children who are not proficient in reading by third grade are at a higher risk of not graduating high school. In fact, a child who's not reading at proficiency rate at third grade is 4 times less likely to graduate high school. A University of Chicago study indicated less than 20% of students reading below grade level even attend college. The National Institute for Literacy reveals 85% of juvenile offenders have problems reading. 3 out of 5 people in American prisons cannot read, and 3 out of 4 people on welfare cannot read either. While there are always exceptions to the rule, the fact of the matter is reading proficiency is a key factor in determining scholastic and vocational success. Children who are read to prior to entering kindergarten have a greater advantage of cognitive development, improved language skills, preparation for academic success, improved imagination and creativity, and increased concentration and discipline. For children who are capable of reading 20 minutes per day has the advantage of improving their vocabulary skills, as they will be exposed to 1.8 million words per school year. This exposure makes children more likely to score in the 90th percentile on standardized tests. And it improves writing skills. It helps them to develop empathy. It enhances their critical thinking skills, and it improves their problem-solving skills as well. The intent of the Read 20 initiative is to encourage students to read for at least 20 minutes per day and bring awareness to parents of young children the benefits of reading to their pre-K children. At last year's State of the City address, I introduced the Workforce Development Initiative, which is designed to help our emerging workforce, high school juniors and seniors, to determine a career path and job opportunities. Well, we do our high school students a great disservice if, as they go out to apply for a job, they are unable to read the very application which opens the door of opportunity for them. It should be our goal as a community, not just the goal of the school district, that every child who enters the public school system will be reading at the 3rd grade proficiency level by the time they leave the 3rd grade. To help in this regard, the Morgan Hill Unified School District, the Morgan Hill Library, Mount Madonna YMCA, and the Boys and Girls Club have agreed to implement weekly reading programs where 1 day a week, volunteers can participate in reading to and with students in order to help improve their reading proficiency. The Read 20 campaign will kick off in the fall of this year. Working together, we can assist and encourage children to be readers, and we will need community volunteers to participate in these weekly reading cohorts. Yes. Your participation will help a child learn and love to read, ultimately improving their opportunity in life. If you're interested in volunteering to help with the Read 20 program, there will be somebody out in the lobby that will hand you this brochure. You can scan the QR code and take a very brief survey in order to get us some information that we can follow up and get your information in order to tell you more about this program. Oh, wrong one. This is the one. Read 20. Read 20. This is the Healthy Morgan Hill, and I'll get to that in a minute. Read 20. Thank you, Christina. I'll tell you, that's what's so great about her leadership. Read 20. Those will be out in the lobby, and you can pick one of these up. Please, if you're willing and able to help, we would love to have you. Reading proficiency leads to better educational opportunities, which not only can lead to better vocational opportunities, but can also enable one to rise above the poverty level and even affecting one's health and wellness. Health and wellness are an important aspect in a community like ours, and as I mentioned earlier, the Council has now identified a new strategic priority called Healthy Community. Our 2035 General Plan addresses this issue. We know health is determined not only by individual choices, but also by the opportunities people have to engage in a healthy lifestyle. Knowing facts and figures help us all to make better choices. According to their State of Chronic Disease in California, the report, the Chronic Care Policy Alliance, indicates that nearly 17% of adults in California report health status of fair to poor. The leading chronic diseases in California are hypertension, obesity, arthritis, mental illness, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Across the United States, 6 in 10 adults report having one of the chronic diseases I just mentioned. 4 in 10 adults report having 2 or more. Heart disease is the #1 cause of death for men and women in the United States. Residents in Santa Clara County are more vulnerable than 35% of other counties in the U.S. for diabetes. The obesity prevalence in the U.S. is at approximately 41%. Obesity-related conditions include heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. These are among the leading causes of preventable premature deaths. And of course, I've got to tell you a story. This reminds me of a story of an elderly gentleman who went to the doctor, and he was talking to his doctor about some issues he was having, and the doctor met with him and then, of course, sent him on his way. A few days later, the doctor was driving through town when he saw this elderly gentleman walking through the town square with a beautiful young lady on his arm. The doctor couldn't help but to stop and have a conversation with the elderly gentleman and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And of course, the elderly gentleman said, "I'm doing fine. I'm following your advice." The doctor said, "My advice? What advice is that?" And the elderly gentleman said, "You told me to get a hot mama and be cheerful." The doctor said, "No, I said you've got a heart murmur, be careful." Thank you for that. I had a lot of hesitation going into that joke. I want you to know that. This evening, I'm glad to be able to introduce a health initiative called Healthy Morgan Hill. Over the last 6 to 8 months, I've had the good fortune of working with several community members, including Nick Gaish, Carolyn Wallace, and Dr. Ken Versagen, to develop this initiative, which falls in line with the City Council's adoption of the Healthy Community Strategy priority. This is designed to be more of a whole community approach for the benefit of the whole person. Proven methods include improved diet, social connections, faith community involvement, having a purpose in life, relieving stress, and more physical movement, just to name a few. With Morgan Hill's walking and biking paths, our farmers market, healthy dining options, places of worship, our downtown, and other amenities, we are positioned well to not just implement a program like this, but to see good results as well. Healthy Morgan Hill will not only support local policy, but undoubtedly influence policy as well. The Healthy Morgan Hill initiative is designed around the concept of blue zones. Some of you may be aware of that, and if you haven't, be sure to look it up. It's a great strategy, but we're weighing the options of whether or not to go in that direction or to do something separate from that on our own. Over the time that we've been meeting and planning at the Healthy Morgan Hill initiative, Ken, Carolyn, Nick, and I have discussed concepts, impacts, community involvement and engagement. We've talked with other community leaders doing similar initiatives. We've visited officials in Petaluma to learn about their program. We've invited healthcare professionals to join us. We've consulted with a certified health coach and have been strategizing a plan to go forward. This is an opportunity through education and community activation to see positive and sustainable lifestyle changes made throughout the community, improving health and decreasing disease. We have developed 4 goals for this effort. Number 1, improve the health and well-being of Morgan Hill residents. Number 2, integrate policy and planning with wellness efforts while ensuring project sustainability. Number 3, elevate the city of Morgan Hill as a hub for healthy and economic vitality. And number 4, ensure effective and ongoing engagement with community stakeholders. We are in the early stages of getting this initiative launched, and if you're interested in learning more, this is the brochure. Carolyn and I think Ken, if he's here, will be out in the lobby handing these out. If you're interested, again, just some brief information. Also has a QR code that you can scan, and if you want more information, you can fill that out, and we'll be sure to contact you. It's important to note that Morgan Hill collects the least amount of tax per capita than any other city in Santa Clara County, nearly 40% less than the countywide average. In other words, on average, cities collect approximately $1,205 per capita, while Morgan Hill collects $734 per capita. In spite of that, we have been able to maintain a high quality of standard for our residents. Going forward, however, we will need to generate revenue for our city if we expect to keep up with a growing community and provide the public safety efforts our community expects, expand and maintain our parks and recreational facilities, and preserve the high quality of life standard our residents deserve. While tourism is an important aspect of our economic development, and we've identified it as one of our 4 pillars in our economic development blueprint, youth, sports, and recreation tourism, in my opinion, is the single greatest opportunity we have as a city to drive revenue to our city, to provide recreational opportunities for our residents, and to generate economic benefits for our hotels, restaurants, and retail establishments. I believe we should elevate youth sports and recreation tourism to one of the highest priorities we have in our community. We can and should focus on becoming the premier destination in Northern California for youth sports and recreation. Youth sports and recreation tourism, in other words, tournaments and swim meets, can be a driver for elevating our tourism opportunities. According to the Kansas University study, youth sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, $37.5 billion in the U.S. alone. Focusing on this effort ensures our local youth have a greater access to sports and recreation opportunities as well. Tournaments and swim meets support our hotels, retail, and restaurants, as well as other ancillary businesses. The Aquatic Center was developed with the intention of hosting regional and national swim meets that would attract visitors to Morgan Hill. Sports tourism generates local jobs and other positive economic impacts. Events held at the Outdoor Sports Complex and the Aquatic Center, according to a 2017 report by Johnson Consulting, at that time of the report, both facilities are estimated to have generated $18.9 million in total spending, $5.8 million in increased earnings, 132 full-time jobs, and $917,000 in tax revenue annually. According to this report at the time, Morgan Hill would receive $97,000 of the sales tax revenues, $60,000 of that through visitor impacts. These numbers would be even better today. Sports tourism creates a local multiplier effect of 1.5 to 1.8, meaning every dollar spent in our community has the potential to impact our community by $1.50 to $1.80. It provides public benefit. The Aspen Institute's 2019 State of Play report indicates kids who are physically active are 1/10 less likely to be obese. They are more likely to go to college and less likely to suffer chronic diseases. In an article for the independent news source Crosscut, one of the authors who did that report noted that play improves memory and executive functioning, increases capacity to manage emotions and regulate anxiety, boosts academic achievement and literacy, and improves social skills. Physical activity is a cornerstone of healthy whole child development. I strongly believe in this opportunity because this is a benefit to Morgan Hill's youth and families. It aligns with our healthy community strategic priority. It contributes to the educational success of our children. It creates economic activity within our community, and it generates much needed revenue for our city. We can build out the sports complex and enhance our soccer fields, develop collegiate level field hockey fields and baseball and softball diamonds, just to name a few. Of course, the price tag on building out these facilities is a mere $100 million. It's money we don't have. However, it doesn't mean it shouldn't be elevated as a priority. It doesn't mean we're going to spend the money we don't have, but it doesn't mean we can't have conversations about the potential before us. We can focus on what we don't have and say we can never do it, or we can focus on what's never been done before and ask, how can we do it? Thank you. I liken it to the story of the tennis shoe manufacturer, not in our town. I liken it to the story of the tennis shoe manufacturer who sent 2 salespeople to an underdeveloped and uncivilized region in a third world country to determine whether or not there might be opportunity to increase their global sales. And after being there for several days, the first salesperson sent back an email to headquarters and said, "No sense in going any further. No one here wears shoes." A few hours later, the second salesperson sent back an email to headquarters saying, "Send 10 containers of product immediately. Nobody here wears shoes." I don't know, maybe there's an idea out there. Let's get community's input and determine how we can become the premier destination in Northern California for youth sports and recreation. Together, we can figure this out. My wife and I will be heading to Sequoia National Park in July, and so I recently read some information about redwood trees and captured this bit of information. You would think that a 350-foot tall redwood tree needs deep roots, but that's not the case with the Sequoia sempervirens, if I'm even saying that right. Redwood tree roots, interestingly enough, are very, very shallow, oftentimes only 5 to 6 feet deep, in some cases 12 feet deep. But they make up for it in width, sometimes extending up to 100 feet from the trunk. They thrive in thick groves where the roots can intertwine and even fuse together. This gives them tremendous strength against the forces of nature, and this way they can withstand high winds and raging floods. Interestingly enough, due to this network of tree roots, redwood trees are able to receive much needed nutrients from one another. They develop a sense of interdependence, and their survival and success becomes a community effort. I guess the life application that I'd like to make is that we too, like redwood trees, have roots in our community. Some deeper than others, but all of us strengthened through the network of our family, neighbors, friends, co-workers, community partners, and organizations that I mentioned at the start of the evening, along with the people and the volunteers who serve Morgan Hill. And whether you've lived here for a very short time or whether you were born and raised here, whether you lived here for 40 years or more, or whether you moved in yesterday, we are all part of this community, and I invite you to contribute to the success and well-being of our town. It is indeed our people who make the difference, who make Morgan Hill the special place we know it to be. I believe in the goodness of our people. I believe that our differences can in fact strengthen us. I believe there is great potential and opportunity that lies before us. And I believe there is more right with Morgan Hill than wrong with it. If you'll allow me to borrow and modify a phrase from the first inaugural address of President Clinton, let me just say this. There's nothing wrong with Morgan Hill that can't be cured by what's right with Morgan Hill. Let us continue in our efforts to bring Morgan Hill together, move Morgan Hill forward, and make Morgan Hill the best it can be. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless Morgan Hill. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.